Amma's bare feet pounded the hot streets of Accra as she knelt beside the wealthy boy who had collapsed, his lips dry and body weak. Without hesitation, she tore her last piece of bread, the only food she had for the day, and pressed it gently to his mouth, whispering, "Eat, please." In that moment, her sacrifice became the lifeline that saved him. Welcome to Afro Tales TV, your home for rich, exciting, and inspiring stories from around the world. Today's story will touch your heart and keep you hooked till the very end. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of our amazing stories. The sun had barely risen over Accra, yet the streets were already alive with sound. Roosters crowed from small compounds, trotro buses honked impatiently, and women in colorful cloth balanced baskets of goods on their heads, calling out to early customers. In the middle of this restless city lived Amma, a 13-year-old girl with big eyes and a thin frame. Her world was Makola Market, one of the busiest in Accra. Every day she carried a small tray with loaves of bread neatly stacked and walked among the crowd shouting, "Bread, fresh bread, one Sadie bread." Amma's voice was clear, but her heart often felt heavy. The bread she sold was not for her own profit. She worked for Madame Serrois, the bakery owner, who gave her 10 loaves every morning. If she sold all of them, she earned just enough to bring home a few coins. Those coins kept her grandmother, Afua, alive. Grandmother Afua was old and frail. Her eyes were dim, and her back was bent from years of carrying firewood and water in the village before moving to the city. Amma loved her deeply. She had no mother or father, both had died when she was little, so her grandmother was all she had left in the world. Each morning before Amma left for the market, she knelt beside the mat where her grandmother rested. "Amma," the old woman whispered one morning, her voice cracked but tender, "make sure you eat something before you go. You cannot walk long hours with an empty stomach." Amma shook her head, smiling softly. "Grandma, I will be fine. When I sell all the bread, maybe I will buy small ground nuts." The truth was, Amma rarely ate before leaving. Most days she chewed on hope instead of food. The streets of Makola Market were not easy for a child. Grown men brushed past her without apology. Hawkers shouted louder than her. Bus conductors pushed their way through the crowd yelling, "Circle, circle straight, last seat, hurry!" Sometimes bigger boys teased her, trying to snatch bread from her tray. But Amma had learned how to be quick. One hot afternoon, as she balanced her tray on her head, a boy ran toward her, laughing. Before she could step aside, he grabbed a loaf. "Thief!" Amma shouted, chasing after him. Her bare feet slapped against the dusty road. She was small, but she was fast. She caught his shirt and pulled hard. The bread dropped to the ground. The boy hissed, "Small girl, leave me." Amma picked up the bread, brushed it quickly, and glared. "If you are hungry, you can ask. But don't steal from me. This is all I have." The boy ran off, embarrassed. Amma sighed, wiped her forehead, and returned to her tray. Every day was a battle like this. Fighting hunger, fighting strangers, fighting tiredness. But through it all, Amma carried something that no one could steal. Courage. Sometimes when business was slow, Amma would watch the children who came with their mothers to shop. Some wore neat uniforms, holding school books. Others ran around freely, their laughter ringing like music. Amma often wondered what it would feel like to sit in a classroom again. She had gone to school only until primary 3, when her grandmother could no longer pay the fees. Since then, her education had been replaced with the cries of the market and the counting of coins. One afternoon, as she leaned against a kiosk to rest, her friend Kofi, another hawker, teased her. "Amma, why you always dey look at school children like that? You know dey like your bread work?" Amma smiled faintly. "I like school more, but school no go wait for me." Kofi shrugged. Me? I no mind. Street be my school. Amma didn't argue. Deep inside, she knew her dreams were bigger than the streets. Life at home was not easier. Their small room in Nima was dark and cramped, with a leaking roof and a mat for sleeping. At night, Amma would sit beside her grandmother, counting the few coins she had earned. Some days it was enough to buy rice, other days only gari and water, but Grandma Afua never complained. She always smiled and prayed over Amma. "You are my blessing," she said often, stroking Amma's hair. "God has given you a strong heart. One day, He will remember you." Amma held on to those words even when her stomach was empty. One evening, after a long day in the market, Amma walked home with only one unsold loaf left on her tray. She decided not to return it to Madame Serrois. Instead, she kept it for herself and her grandmother. As she walked through the narrow street leading home, the smell of fried plantain and fish floated in the air. Her stomach rumbled loudly, but she forced herself to smile. "Grandma will be happy. At least we have bread for supper." She held the loaf close, her eyes shining with pride. It was a small thing, but for Amma, it meant survival. What she did not know was that this one loaf, this single piece of bread, would soon become the key to changing her life forever. While Amma walked barefoot through Makola Market, balancing her tray of bread, another life unfolded across town in East Legon. Here, the streets were wide and clean, lined with tall palm trees. Expensive cars glided through gates of mansions that sparkled with glass windows and marble walls. Inside one of these mansions lived Kwame Mensah, a 14-year-old boy with a bright smile and gentle eyes. His world was far from the noise of Makola. He woke each morning in a soft bed with white sheets, the air conditioning humming gently above him. His school uniforms were ironed and ready, his shoes polished until they shone. Yet for all the comfort around him, Kwame's life was not without challenge. He was diabetic. His parents, Mr. and Mrs. Mensah, loved him dearly, but they worried constantly. Every meal was measured, every outing carefully planned. Kwame wanted to be like other boys, to run freely and eat freely, but his body often reminded him he could not. One Saturday morning, as the housemaid set a plate of oats before him, Kwame frowned. "Always oats, always vegetables. Sometimes I want kenki and fried fish like the boys outside eat." His mother, Mrs. Mensah, sat across the table, elegant in her kente cloth. "Kwame, you know you cannot. Sugar is dangerous for you." Kwame sighed, poking at his oats. "But Mama, I feel like a prisoner in this house. Even my snacks are medicine." Mr. Mensah folded his newspaper and looked at his son over his glasses. "Your mother is right. Your health comes first. You have a bright future, Kwame. We cannot risk it." Kwame nodded quietly, though his heart longed for freedom. Despite his illness, Kwame was cheerful and kind. He greeted the staff with respect, played the piano in the evenings, and loved reading stories. He dreamed of becoming a doctor one day, inspired by the people who cared for him. But sometimes, when he looked out from the balcony at the children running in the street, he wished he could just be ordinary. No strict diets, no injections, no worried glances from his mother. At school, Kwame was admired. His parents' wealth made him popular, but it was his humility that made him loved. He never mocked poorer classmates, never boasted of his home or cars. When a boy came to school with torn shoes, Kwame quietly gave him a new pair through the teacher, never revealing it was from him. Yet even at school, he felt different. His classmates ate meat pies and sweet drinks at break time, while he munched on carrots or unsweetened biscuits. When they played football under the sun, he often had to sit out, his body too weak to join. "Kwame, come play," his friends would call. He would smile and wave. Next time. But deep inside, he knew there might never be a next time. His parents, though loving, sometimes smothered him with worry. Mrs. Mensah often checked his sugar levels twice a day. "Have you eaten? Did you drink water? Are you feeling dizzy?" Kwame would sigh. "Mama, I am not made of glass." But she would shake her head. "You are my only son. I cannot take chances." Mr. Mensah, a busy businessman, tried to hide his concern with sternness. "Kwame, you must learn discipline. Discipline keeps you alive." Kwame respected them, but he sometimes wished they would see him not just as fragile, but as strong too. One hot afternoon, Kwame attended a youth program at the community center. Children from different schools came to recite poems, sing, and play games. Kwame loved being there, surrounded by laughter, music, and the bright colors of Ghanaian culture. But the sun was strong, and in the excitement, Kwame forgot to check his snack. He played a quiz game, laughed with new friends, and clapped to the sound of drums. Suddenly, as he walked toward the gate, his vision blurred. The world spun. His knees buckled. He gasped for breath, clutching his chest. People around screamed, "The boy! He is fainting!" Kwame fell to the ground, his body weak. His sugar level had dropped dangerously low. And there, by the roadside, was Amma, holding her last piece of bread. The sun sat high over Accra that afternoon, burning hot on the pavement. The youth program at the community center had ended, and children poured out onto the busy street, laughing and chattering. Hawkers shouted as they passed, selling sachet water, roasted plantain, meat pies, and ground nuts. Among the crowd, Kwame walked slowly, his face pale. His stomach twisted with emptiness, and his legs felt heavy. He had enjoyed the program so much that he forgot to check his sugar level. Now his body was reminding him. Sweat trickled down his forehead. He blinked hard, but his vision grew blurry. The sound of the crowd became faint, like waves crashing far away. Then, without warning, his knees gave way. He stumbled, gasped for air, and fell flat onto the ground. "Hey, the boy is fainting!" a woman screamed, dropping her basket of oranges. "Somebody help him!" another voice shouted. Children crowded around, unsure of what to do. Some called for water, others simply stared. Lying there, Kwame's lips trembled, his body weak. He tried to speak, but no words came out. His blood sugar had dropped too low. Not far from the scene, Amma was returning from Makola Market. She carried her tray, but on it lay only one loaf, the last bread she had not sold. Her stomach growled, reminding her she hadn't eaten since morning. She had planned to share the bread with her grandmother when she got home. As she walked, she saw the commotion. People gathered in a circle, voices raised. Curious, Amma stepped closer. She squeezed between two women and then froze. On the ground lay a boy in a neat shirt and shorts, his skin lighter than hers, his shoes polished. His face was pale, his breathing shallow. "Does anyone know what is wrong with him?" someone cried. Amma's eyes widened. She didn't know medicine, but she had seen something like this before. Once, a street boy had collapsed in the market. A trader shouted that he needed food, something sweet. They had given him part of a sugar cube, and he recovered quickly. Without thinking, Amma pulled the bread from her tray. She knelt beside the boy, broke a piece, and pushed it gently toward his lips. "Eat, please," she whispered. "Just small." At first, he did not move. Amma tore another small piece, placed it in his mouth, and rubbed his jaw softly, like she had once seen women feed babies. Slowly, Kwame's mouth moved. He chewed weakly, swallowed, then gasped. His eyelids fluttered. "He's moving!" a man exclaimed. Amma quickly gave him another piece. "Yes, eat. You need it." Kwame's breathing steadied bit by bit. His color returned slightly. His lips parted, and in a faint voice he whispered, "Thank you." before closing his eyes again in exhaustion. Amma sat back, clutching the half-loaf left in her hand. Her stomach ached with hunger, but her heart felt strangely full. She had given away her only food, yet she knew she had saved someone. Minutes later, a sleek black SUV screeched to a halt nearby. Out rushed a tall man in a suit and a woman in elegant kente cloth, Mr. and Mrs. Mensah. "Kwame!" the woman cried, kneeling beside her son. "Oh my God, what happened?" The man looked around sharply. "Who touched him? Who helped him?" People murmured, pointing at Amma. The little bread seller stood awkwardly, clutching her tray. "She fed him," one woman explained. "The boy would have died, but this girl gave him bread." Mrs. Mensah looked at Amma with tearful eyes. "Is this true?" Amma shifted nervously. "Yes, madam. He was weak. I just gave him my bread." The wealthy woman took Amma's hands, trembling. "You saved my son. God bless you, my child. God bless you." Mr. Mensah, though usually stern, swallowed hard, his eyes moist. He touched Amma's shoulder. "You did what even grown men around could not think of. You are brave." Kwame stirred then, his eyes opening slowly. When he saw his mother's face, he smiled weakly. Then he turned his gaze to Amma. Their eyes met, the world of wealth and the world of struggle. And for a moment, nothing else existed. "Bread girl," he whispered faintly, before closing his eyes to rest. Amma's heart clenched. She had not expected gratitude from someone like him. The Mensahs carried their son into the SUV, but before they left, Mrs. Mensah called out, "Young girl, come with us." Amma shook her head quickly. "No, madam. I must go home to my grandmother." Mrs. Mensah's eyes softened. "Please, child, at least give us your name." Amma hesitated, then whispered, "My name is Amma." Mr. Mensah nodded firmly. "Amma, we will find you again. You have given us more than you know." The car door shut, and the SUV drove off, leaving Amma standing in the middle of the street, her tray empty, her heart racing. Around her, people murmured. Some smiled, others shook their heads. "That small girl has saved a rich man's son," one trader said. "God will remember her." Amma held the half-loaf close to her chest. She had lost her supper, but she had gained something greater, a story that would soon change her life forever. That evening, as she walked back to Nima, Amma felt both tired and light. She told her grandmother everything. Afua listened with wide eyes, then pulled Amma close. "My child," she whispered, "this bread was not just food today. It was destiny. You planted a seed of kindness. Wait and see what God will grow from it." Amma smiled faintly, though her stomach ached from hunger. She lay beside her grandmother that night, her heart strangely hopeful. And somewhere in East Legon, in a mansion far from the dusty streets, Kwame slept peacefully, dreaming of the bread girl whose courage had given him back his breath. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the tall glass windows of the Mensah mansion. In his soft bed, Kwame slowly opened his eyes. For a moment, he felt disoriented. The last thing he remembered was collapsing outside the community center. Then he remembered a face. A girl's face, dark with sweat, holding bread to his lips. "Bread girl," he whispered faintly, a small smile tugging at his lips. Mrs. Mensah, who had been dozing in a chair beside his bed, jerked awake. "Kwame, you are awake, thank God." She rushed to his side, pressing his hand to her cheek. "My son, you scared me." Kwame turned his head slowly. "Mama, the girl, where is the bread girl?" Mrs. Mensah blinked. "The girl? You mean the one who helped you?" Kwame nodded weakly. Tears filled Mrs. Mensah's eyes. "Yes, Kwame, she saved your life. A poor street girl gave you her bread when no one else thought of it. If not for her, you would not be here now." At that moment, Mr. Mensah entered, his face still lined with worry. "Kwame, How do you feel? Weak, Kwame whispered. But better. Baba, we must find the girl. Amma. She gave me her food. She saved me. Mr. Mensah's jaw tightened with determination. We will find her, son. I promise. That same morning in Nima, Amma sat on the wooden stool outside their small room, her tray empty on her lap. She had no bread to sell today. Madame Serrois had shouted at her the previous evening for not returning the last loaf, accusing her of being careless. Amma had tried to explain, but the woman did not listen. You think I bake bread for you to dash it to people? Madame Serrois had yelled, waving her hand. Tomorrow, don't come back. Go and find another work. Amma had walked away in silence, her eyes stinging with tears. Now she sat quietly, staring at the dusty ground. Her grandmother Afua coughed weakly inside the room. Amma rose quickly and brought her a calabash of water. Don't worry, Grandma, she whispered. I will find another way. God will not leave us. But deep inside, fear gnawed at her. Without the bread business, how would they survive?